Hello everyone and welcome to episode 150 of the Xbox Hall of Gamers podcast. This week I'm joined by Cameron.
Hello!
And that's it. I'm glad that he got his queue this time. Didn't think I was going to go to Kyo or something.
Yeah, I was going to say when it's a two-person show, it's pretty easy to sort it out. When it's a six-person show, then...
Can you imagine if I introduced someone else first? That would have been very funny. Yeah, this week it's a bit of a quiet week. It's just the two of us. People are very busy. It's the holidays, Thanksgiving and all that, so I totally understand. There's a few news stories, but everyone seems to be kind of waiting on the Game Awards to really talk about things. So we'll see how the show goes. As always, we do the show live on Twitch, Xbox Hall of Gamers, place to find us. Come say hi, hang out in the chat. We've got Firehawk Shane in the chat already. Just shit posting a huge amount and just trying to distract us from the show.
Yeah. I haven't listened to last week's episode yet, but when you discussed the DLC mentioned for the Game Awards, are we all pretty much on the consensus that they're only just drumming up that controversy to get more views?
That is certainly possible. I mean, I did put in the description of last week's video, I was like, is it possible for the same game to win Game of the Year in 2 different years?
Is it possible for the Game Awards to go a single year without a controversy?
No, I mean, I'm pretty
Shane,
sure. Yeah, I was gonna.
Sorry, Shane's got his "please wrap it up" sign going.
Yeah, exactly. There's always something. I mean, maybe they'll bust out the Rabbi Bill Clinton dude again if things start going too well. He's just going to rush the stage.
Jeez.
Oh man. Yeah, we did talk about the Game Awards last week and what we thought about the nominations. So go check out that episode if you missed it. Yeah, I'm also hopefully someone can go back and write down all the predictions that we made to see how badly off we were, because it's next weekend. It was next Friday. Is it Friday?
I want to say it was the first week in December last year.
Yeah,
I haven't checked.
I think it was the 13th or something. I don't think it's anyway. Well, it'll be soon. So,
yeah,
we may have a show that week. We may not. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, I guess we don't have any questions this week, so I guess we'll get straight into the news. Cameron, you've grabbed a bunch of sort of news stories for us. What have you found?
Yeah, let me just bring them up. All right, starting up, Xbox has been forced to delay a game purchasing feature for Android Xbox app. I think this was like 2 days ago now, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
So Microsoft's Android app has been delayed when players in the US won't be able to purchase and play the best Xbox games via the Xbox app on Android phones just yet. The feature was planned to roll out this month following a court ruling in October that forced Google to open its Play Store to competitors. Microsoft announced the new Android Xbox app feature for buying and playing Xbox games on mobile in October. The feature was announced after a court ruled that Google must open its Play Store to competitors for 3 years. The court has now granted a temporary administrative stay on Microsoft's plans, delaying the feature's rollout for an indefinite time. I haven't really looked too far into this other than I think there was like a tweet from Sarah Bond that came across my timeline. Essentially, we're committed to making sure that Xbox players can play, they have the avenues available to them, that kind of stuff, etc., etc.
Usual corporate bullshit, yeah.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I haven't personally looked into it too far myself. I'm not sure. Does this affect cloud on mobile or anything?
No, I don't
just purchasing?
think so. I think it's just purchasing like through their app, right? I think that was I'm trying to remember exactly because again, the whole thing was that this all came down because there was accusations of Google having a monopoly with having the Play Store being the only place you could, like the only app store they could have on a Google device.
Isn't it the case both Google and Apple kind of do have like a duopoly?
Yeah, I mean that's basically.
And they're charging like 30%.
Yeah,
like if you work for their systems, 30% cut.
And they don't allow other storefronts to be on the platform. Unlike PC, where it's like you can have the Epic Game Store, you can have Steam, you can have Windows stuff. Like the PC allows for more open, more choice in that regard. But basically, it says that this whole ruling basically allows third-party apps to have their own stores on the platform, and so I think it was basically the whole thing was that it was like Google Play, like their billing system had to go through Google. The fact that it had even if you had your own storefront, you had to use Google
Yeah.
Play as their sort of billing platform, which again just gives a cut to Google every time you do it. So the idea is that Microsoft were going to launch their thing again. They've been making a big push into Android, into mobile in particular, this year. And I know they announced a little while ago in that Bloomberg interview that they were kind of planning on launching the store around now.
Yeah, well, I mean, the whole point of them, acquiring ABK was for King.
Yeah, it was a big part of it for sure. I mean, Candy Crush is a big moneymaker even today.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, but basically, so there's been an injunction, this whole administrative stay. Who knows what that means? Again, there's a lot of stuff behind the scenes. We don't really understand why this has happened. But Google are saying that they're going, oh, it's all security concerns. Threatens it to be a safe and secure experience by them controlling it. So yeah, Microsoft are able to offer their Android users the ability to play Xbox directly from their app. They just basically would have to run that app through Google, which is of course defeats the whole purpose for them.
Yeah.
So yeah, apparently it's ready to go. I guess we'll see what happens there, but at this point it's just kind of there's a delay.
Yeah. Just when was the last time we were able to buy games on mobile? Like buy into the Xbox ecosystem on mobile.
Never from the app, I don't think. Right? You have to go into through a browser. I don't think.
I thought there was a point in time where we were able to with the Windows phones and that.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, maybe with Windows phones, but even then, I can't even think of. I got buying something for an Xbox game or DLC or something from the app.
Yeah,
I don't think so because it was always the Windows Phone store that you ended up on. In terms of those games, oh, maybe Windows 10 stuff, maybe or Windows 8 even back then.
I don't know. Maybe my brain's just broken. This would have been like a decade ago that I'm thinking back to. Like around Xbox One's early years, I'd say. But
yeah,
I don't know. Anyway, I don't really think I feel these stories tonight, they're just very straight to the point. So yeah, as soon as we find out more about, when we can actually purchase games from Android and that, we'll be reporting on it.
Yeah. Yeah, interesting.
More interesting news.
Mm-hmm.
Lies of P DLC is coming in the first quarter of 2025, and the developer have confirmed their next game, which is a sci-fi title, as well as a sequel.
Which I guess makes sense. Lies of P was kind of a smash success, right? So, and they teased the sequel at the end of it, so it doesn't surprise me. But hey, a sci-fi title I'm very keen on. I'd definitely be keen to see what they're working on in that regard.
So, to expand on it, the new game will be a survival horror project set in the sci-fi world. It's still too early to disclose the progress of the project, and is one of the PC and console games that Round 8 Studios is preparing. While little information about the DLC has been announced, the new announcement hasn't provided a more solid release date. The game's director did provide an update earlier this year. For the DLC of Lies of P and the sequel, we aim to do better on what we did well and improve in areas we have room to grow. It might sound simple, but I think sticking to the basics is anything but easy. Thankfully, I have amazing colleagues in whom I can place my full trust.
Yeah, okay. I mean, sure.
I mean, it goes without saying. We're going to work on the areas that we have room to improve, and then we're just going to add to ourselves and the stuff that we did well. I need to go back to Lies of P. It didn't capture me the first time.
I really, really enjoyed it. I think it was an absolutely fantastic game. I am surprised this DLC is taking so long, though. To be honest, we heard that they were doing DLC basically right after release, and that was back in 2023. And here we are, nearly at 2025.
Well, I wonder if Jeff Keighley got in there and he's just like, "Look, if you just expand this out just a little bit, maybe you'll get a Game of the Year."
And he's like, oh, and if you put me in the game, give Death Stranding. I don't know. I mean, I'll be honest, like I really enjoyed Laser P back last year, but I haven't really thought about it since then. And the fact that this DLC has taken so long, I don't think this is like Shadow of the Erd Tree also took like 2 years, right? And that was a
Yeah.
huge thing. And I don't think this is going to be of that same level of caliber. I don't expect it to be, right? We're talking like magnitudes difference in terms of team size and game size and all that kind of stuff. But I'm just like, I don't know. Yeah, it feels like it's taken a very long time for what I imagine will probably be like a 10 to 15 hour experience.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of like what I would expect for like a Liza P. Well, a DLC and a sequel.
Yeah.
Are you excited for a sequel?
Yeah,
or...
definitely. I think a sequel is actually more interesting than DLC, to be honest, at this point.
Yeah.
Like, if you were going to make a sequel coming out in 2026, I'd be like, great. That sounds great to me. I'm very keen to see where they go with this series.
I kind of think of the mentality of something like Lords of the Fallen, of like how they're planning to move their release to 2026 for their sequel, like that kind of timeline.
Exactly. Yeah, that's kind of
do some major updates and then move on. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I know, I'm pretty sure I found the area where they planned on putting the DLC originally. Like, there's like one of those. It's towards the sort of early part of the game. There's like a side path you can go down and it has one of those. Again, this is like from a year ago, so I might be misremembering, but it was like one of the lamp things or whatever you interact with, and it was like, oh, this isn't working or whatever, and like it looked like it would be like a side quest thing that either got cut out of the game, but everyone theorized that it was potentially like the beginning, starting point of the DLC or whatever. But now that we're so far on from it, is the game still in Game Pass at the moment, or it's no, it got taken?
I believe it's still in Game Pass, isn't it?
Is it? I thought it might have just got removed, but I might be wrong.
I might be mistaken.
Yeah.
I haven't really. Genres.
Yeah, it wasn't.
No, yeah, Xbox Game Pass, PC Game Pass.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah, available by Game Pass standard.
Cool. Yeah. Oh, that's right. They just added the Game Pass standard, so they probably extended it. Okay, yeah. Yeah, I mean, definitely play
Actually,
it.
you know what? It's probably. I mean, like you think back historically and all that with Elden Ring and all that. Having games like this in Game Pass. I imagine there are probably a few games that they carefully select that are, like well received, highly regarded.
Oh, this definitely was, yeah, because this was launched.
They go, all right, let's extend this contract out
because they got it at launch. So yeah, that doesn't surprise me actually. And if they're doing DLC for it, it makes sense for it to stay in Game Pass for a bit longer. But they said first quarter of 2025 is not that far away. I guess it'll be February probably.
Wasn't it this studio's like first game as well?
First major game, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think they had one other smaller title back then, but this was their first like AAA. Well, standard like big budget release. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll definitely play the DLC. I mean, if it's long Game Pass and DLC comes out and has achievements, then I will probably pick it up and give it a go.
Yeah. Shane just asked if they added, say, a new feature weapon or had some neat crossover. What would you want it to be? I can answer this. A lot, like further extend out the lying system, but then the nose gets bigger and bigger, and then you just snap it off, and it's like a stick,
like a tree branch.
Yeah, just like swinging around.
I mean, if they want to have like a neat crossover or anything, I mean, I feel like having some sort of Bloodborne crossover would it makes so much sense. Some sort of Souls, I know this is like pie in the sky, but having like, I like the transformable weapon stuff from Bloodborne. I would like to see a bit more of that. Because I like how you could kind of design your own weapons and Liza P in terms of like using a different handle with a different head to give it different stats. But yeah, I'd love to see some new features and weapons. They'll probably put some new Legion arms and or whatever those things were, the arm things were. Yeah, I'm not quite sure what a DLC would be other than just kind of more features, like more weapons, more enemies, like just kind of like more of the same, which I think is fine. I really, really enjoyed the game. I wouldn't mind playing a bit more of it. So, yeah.
I'm trying to think of any Souls games that I've actually played DLC.
I did play some of. I definitely played Dark Souls 1 and 2's DLC, 2 in particular because you had to. That Fume Knight was an absolute fucking bastard. I didn't play Elden Ring's DLC. Sekiro didn't really have anything. Yeah, I can't think.
I'm trying to think outside of.
Oh, the Surge 1 and 2 definitely had DLCs.
Did they do anything, or was it just a further extension?
It was kind of
the
just
game?
more content, which I think was fine. You know, like I think they were quite sort of relatively small in size. They added a couple of new weapons, definitely a lot of new enemy types. I really enjoyed both those games, so totally okay doing that. Really,
I'm trying to think, because like more often than not now, if games are getting DLC or title updates and that, I want to see something like, all right, the reason we expanded this out because we had like a really neat idea and we wanted to flesh it out and give it some life.
yeah.
And a lot of them are just like, no, we're just going to continue the same.
Put another
kind
level
of.
in there. Yeah, I don't know. That's I'm kind of with you again. Like I don't like having extra achievements.
I don't like adding fluff for the sake of adding
Yes,
fluff,
exactly,
you know?
exactly. I'm not a huge fan of like, hey, we put a new game plus in here and didn't really add much to it and added a bunch of achievements for it to get you to play the game again. Kind of feels kind of
Yeah.
Shane says someday I'll do a real Souls like so Matt is proud of me. Well, I mean, I'm sure you'll find one. There are plenty of them out there now.
I'm trying to think of the proper name of it.
Which one?
Sinner.
Yeah.
Sacrifice or Redemption.
Sacrifice something, are they? Yeah. That was an interesting
That
one.
That one was like what I did 2 years ago, and I did it over the Christmas break, and I loved it.
It was on Game Pass, right? Yeah.
Yeah. It was originally on Game Pass. It left.
That's right. Yeah.
How are people marking it as a 1 to 2 hour completion?
I don't know. People must be very good at it.
What have I missed?
Yeah, I'll have to look at that. Yeah, I never actually got around to playing that one. I meant to buy it, and then I just kind of. I heard it was quite glitchy, some of the achievements. So, but that I guess that hasn't stopped me in the past.
Yeah, some of them are listed as buggy, but I didn't have any issues. I don't get how it's a 1 to 2 hour completion. I mean,
well, let's do some.
If you're really, really good, you could probably get it done quickly, but it took me.
Does
like
it have co-op
years.
or is it only single player?
Single player. It's essentially like
it's like a boss rush, right?
Yeah, boss rush. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I had a lot of fun with that one.
All right. I might have to go back to it. I love Souls games. I was a huge fan of Sekiro and Elden Ring and kind of all of those kinds of things. And even Lords of the Fallen I enjoyed. And Surge. I'm trying to think if there are any other good ones that kind of spring to mind. As like Darksiders 3 was kind of had a sort of Souls-esque thing going for it, which is quite interesting.
I'm really interested to see what Lords of the Fallen 2 ends up being.
Yeah, I feel
I do think that was definitely the best co-op Souls experience that I've had.
Definitely, and there's obviously a big demand for co-op Souls experiences, as you know, the most downloaded mods for Elden Ring stuff of the seamless co-op stuff. So clearly, it's what people want to play.
People love their co-op games, and I mean, more often than not, it hides a fair bit of the jank.
Yeah, well, yeah, games that are co-op are a lot more digestible and a lot more fun. I mean, fuck, we're playing Wildlands.
When they were.
Yeah, we're playing Wildlands at the moment, and that game is jank as fuck, and we only played like an hour of it.
I mean, also like with Tiny Tina's,
yes,
we just have not been able to connect.
Just haven't figured out what the hell was wrong with that. Hopefully, it fixes itself. What other news you got, Cameron?
Anyway, so 8BitDo is releasing an official Xbox version of its retro keyboard. I'm not sure if you've seen the photo of it. It looks
pretty
fucking
sick, cool. I love the design.
Yeah. So the company previously released its retro keyboard in NES and Famicom colors. It then followed this up with a special C64 edition based on the keyboard from the Commodore 64 home computer. Now it's announced that in January it will be releasing an official licensed Xbox version with a color scheme based on the original Xbox console from 2001. So it's got that like iconic transparent green edition of the original Xbox. The keyboard features customizable RGB backlighting, integrated Xbox button, and programmable super buttons.
It does look really cool.
Super buttons is two. Yeah. I love that the arrow keys are the yellow, blue, green, red.
Yep.
Like that. That looks sick. Super buttons are two large pads which can be attached to the keyboard and be programmed to perform specific functions such as copying and pasting. God, it reminds me of like that useless invention of like the punching bag or whatever it
The
is.
giant enter button that you just
The giant I'm not sure if you ever seen the YouTuber that like he makes useless inventions.
yes, yeah.
And one of them is just like a giant enter key that you just have to slam down
Yeah.
for it to do an aggressive as per my last email or stuff like that. Yeah. So it's available for pre-order on Amazon US for a price of 120 US. Be released in January 2025 in North America. A European release has yet to be confirmed. Take a look at the picture. It looks sick.
Yeah, it is tempting actually. Like if I could get one in New Zealand, I might consider it. It'd probably be prohibitively expensive, but I do really like the design.
Like over $100. Like I want to feel them first to see.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely. I mean, like I've got a Steel Series here, and it's really, really good, but it was not cheap, but it was one of those things where
if this was like something that I could like actually have a feel of on eBay Games or something, I'd probably pick it up from there.
Yeah,
but
yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Moving on, Devolver had their. I think this is the second year that they run it. The Delayed Awards 2024.
Yes. Right, I forgot about this.
So the delays were confirmed. Devolver has delayed Baby Steps, Sticker to the Stickman, and Skate Story. Most were recently scheduled to be released this year. The games will now launch in 2025. Delays were confirmed in the mock award show, the 15th annual Devolver Delayed Awards 2024. I don't think there's really much to say to this. I was pretty keen for Skate Story. It looks pretty stylish. I'm trying to think.
Baby Steps.
Baby Steps is that how do I describe it?
I don't even know. I remember seeing a thing for it. I'm gonna look it up now. Hang
on. Nate, an unemployed fail son with nothing going for him until one day he discovers the power he never knew he had, putting one foot in front of the other.
This looks like a rage game, to be honest.
Yeah, that's it. I'm trying to think of what was like the Flash game.
Well, like Quap.
Yeah, Quap. That's it.
Yeah, I was thinking about Quap today, because I was thinking about Quap today because of something that that Old Mate Clown posted in our Discord about another game that I won't talk anymore about, but it was very, very funny.
I saw that. I saw that originally on Twitter.
Yeah.
And then my first mind was like, people need an education guide.
Yeah, it's very funny.
Like people don't know.
It's very, very funny. Yeah, I mean, Baby Steps looks like the looker version of The Witness for Death Stranding, where they're just like, yeah, that's what it is, right? It looks like someone's taken a piss take of Death Stranding, and they're like, hey, this game's all about it's a walking sim. It's a literal walking sim.
It's 100% a meme game.
Yeah, 100%. I don't know.
I mean, Sticker to the Stickman, I think looks. If it's the 2D stick like sides. I don't want to say side scroller, like what is it? Groin kicking, staple gunning, chainsaw wielding.
It looks like the old Flash games. I don't know.
Yeah, like the small kind of like square stadium kind of thing. Yeah.
Again, another kind of like physics roller kind of. Like, people used to always make those Flash animations of a stickman just killing a million dudes with like swords and guns and shit. So someone turned it into like another game. I don't know. Like, Devolver usually have pretty good bets in terms of the stuff they publish. None, I don't know. Like, these games.
I think Skate Story will be.
Yeah, Skate Story looks really good. Like, visually, I love the style.
I think Sticker to the Stickman. It's kind of gives me that vibe of like those fast-paced action, kind of like everything on the screen.
Sure.
And then Baby Steps 100% for a meme game.
Yeah, it's basically just to get clicks. Just get people doing it on Twitch and raging at it, right? Like Jump King, or getting over it.
I don't think Devolver's actually like What does Devolve put out this year other than the Plucky Squire?
That's the only thing I can think of. It can't be true, right? What else is they must have done some other stuff, but Plucky Squire is the one thing that springs to mind. Also, it was not on sale on Black Friday. I thought for sure it would be. I was actually holding.
I mean, it's very new.
Oh, sure, it is very new, but I mean, still. I mean, I'm sure it sold just fine, but.
Oh, never.
Oh yes, okay, they did publish it, which also I'm also keeping an eye out for.
There's a few games outside of Xbox.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
So never Plucky Squire. Come on, load for me. Angerfoot, Pepper Grinder, technically. Phantom Abyss, Karmazoo. So they have had a few. So Talos Principle 2, Karmazoo, Phantom Abyss, Pepper Grinder.
Phantom Abyss was game preview, right? Because that technically came out. That was like 1.0 this year, right?
In January, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, because I think it actually was. It got game preview a while back, but yeah, because it was on Game Pass.
And then Plucky Squire never.
Stubby also in chat says not paying that much for Plucky. Yeah, exactly. Like I think that it looks really good, but it's just way too expensive for that kind of game. Like I'll definitely pick it up on a sale.
I'll buy it at like 30 or so that, but I don't.
Yeah, no, it's just kind of.
What was it, like 45, something like that? Yeah,
it's like $50 almost. I think. Yeah, New Zealand. It was taking the piss a little bit. All right, what else we got?
Talking about indies, this is a very quick one. Bellatrix has reportedly made over 4 million on mobile since release.
People did say as they put their game on mobile, they would print money, and they were right.
Yeah. So as reported by Falco Gamer, information provided by AppMagic claims that the game saw a sharp increase in revenue on November 18th, the day the game received 5 nominations for the Game Awards, including Game of the Year. Bellatrix has been nominated for Game of the Year, Best Game Direction, Best Independent Game, Best Debut Indie Game, and Best Mobile Game. I reckon it will easily get debut Indie Game and Best Mobile.
It might even win Best Indie at this rate, to be honest, with how popular it is. I don't think it's going to win Game of the Year by any means, but...
Yeah. I think the fact that it's been nominated, though, like, is just incredible.
It's great. I mean, it definitely deserves it. From everything I've heard, I know Stubby absolutely loves the game. I just don't have 200 hours for it, unfortunately.
At the same time, like the marketing, alongside them doing like the different decks, just because there's a game of cards. All right, let's include The Witcher, The Vampire Survivors, Cyberpunk. But yeah, VGC's Bellatrix review called it gaming's best timed thief since Vampire Survivors.
That's quite the statement.
It kind of like it makes you wonder like what's going to be the next major successful like indie story.
It's just
you just have this breakout
so hard to tell, right? Because like Bellatrix came out of nowhere.
Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, like also like Palworld had a very successful year as well outside of the lawsuits, right? Like there are quite a few like indie stories really taking off at the moment, which is great because the AAA studios have kind of been letting us down a little bit.
Hellsingers didn't get in the Game of the Year nominations, right?
Don't think so.
I'm wondering how much of that is like due to the PSN stuff.
Helldivers. Yeah, I don't.
Or if it's just the fact that
they got nominated for something. I think it was like Best Community.
Best Community, something like that.
Yeah, which I that's probably where its biggest strength is, to be honest.
But I think they're going up against Baldur's Gate, which I mean.
Yeah.
If you make an update announcement like they did the other day, right before the Game Awards.
Yeah, although
12 subclasses, crossplay.
Yeah, a bunch of other stuff that they're adding, which is great. Again, they keep saying it's their last big patch, but they keep bringing stuff out for it. So,
I mean, if you get nominated, you have a few cards up your sleeve.
I mean, sure, why not, right? Like they're obviously very, very successful, and apparently they finally made some money, which they've been losing money for years. So great, they deserve it.
Yeah. All right, what else we got? Oh, yeah. Another quick one. Xbox Avatar editor app is closing due to low engagement.
I think low engagement is no engagement, and probably has been that way for several years. Most people don't even know they still exist.
Which sucks, because in the 360 days, it was such a good part of the ecosystem.
Yeah, it was fine. I mean, like they integrated it into a few games, but I think it never really took off the way they wanted it to. They were very much trying to do the me thing from when the Wii was successful.
Yeah.
And yeah, they had some parts to it. Like, it was cool getting avatar awards and stuff. I still have my Magic the Gathering cards award thing with the dragon and all that on the 360. But
Well, I like the aspect of it of like you getting a certain achievement and you'd get award, a piece of clothing,
yeah,
or like
yeah,
it, I think that is a I think it's a system that's kind of just been like pushed to the wayside. Like we talk about how nice it would be to get like a platinum trophy or equivalent on Xbox and that, right?
Hmm.
I would love to have some kind of ecosystem like this again where let's be honest, the avatars and all that are pretty front and center when it comes to the 360
For sure. Yeah, you can't miss
as
them.
compared to like the One and the Series consoles. They just pushed it that far back that
Well,
you don't have any games that show it off. You don't have any purpose for it.
yeah, it's completely hidden, and I think that on the 360 it was also a big moneymaker for them, right? People were buying avatar items and stuff. I remember they did some really clever shit with I think it was Crackdown 2. With Crackdown 2, as you play through the game, you would unlock like the level 1 agent suit that you could put on your dude. But if you wanted the really cool level 5 one, you had to go and buy it. So they very much gave you like the taste for free for getting the achievements, and then like trying to incentivize you to get the cooler version of it, which is again like skins 101, right?
Well, how? Okay, so hear me out with it. Yeah,
Sure.
they want to do the achievement overhaul and everything. How difficult would it be to employ one person, like one artist, to that creates say like 2 or 3 pieces of clothing and that
Per game?
to go per per game.
Per every game that comes out? And then
Okay, so not every game, right?
if
We're
it
gonna have
yeah, if it was like first party games, because the other bit is that like Xbox, back in the 360 days,
major release.
exactly, like back in the day, the 360 was at the forefront, right? Like you release things for 360 first, and then you ported them to PlayStation. Tend to be how they worked. Now it's the other way around, and it has been for the last 2 generations. And I feel like it's the same conversation we come back to around achievement tracking and all the other achievement related features. Is that because Xbox is not the priority, they do not get any leeway in trying to get extra features in that aren't relevant for the PlayStation, because they develop for PlayStation first, and then they sometimes port it to Xbox. I mean, fuck. Just this week, they announced Lorelei and the Laser Eyes, which is a potential game of the year contender as far as I'm concerned. Is it's finally getting a PlayStation port, but it's not coming to Xbox, which is fucking crazy. Like from all I hear, the game is a 10 out of 10 like must play experience, and it's just completely just not available to us unless you get it on PC, obviously. But yeah, I think that the Xbox is still in that situation where there's just anything that is superfluous in the Xbox ecosystem at this point is going to get stripped back because they're looking to save some money.
I kind of want to just. I'm trying to think of how to phrase this the best way. The ecosystem now is PC as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like we should not have. I want these games to be coming to like at least Windows platforms.
Sure, yeah, definitely have like a Windows version of them. That would be good. Although even Microsoft has been getting away from the UWP thing, right? Like you don't even see that many Windows versions of games anymore. Like. And definitely not with separate achievement lists. Most of them are like, if they are on the Windows Store, it's play anywhere. It doesn't really matter. But
I think they need to like, well, if the cloud servers and all that run by Xboxes and all that,
yeah,
there still needs to be some way to. I wonder like what the adoption rate is going to be of like cloud gaming and that as time goes on.
well, if you could buy things on the Android store when they finally get that fixed, I think it'll probably go.
I mean, if we get more people in the ecosystem, gets more developers over. Like I don't care. I don't care what I'm playing, whether it's like an Xbox version or a PC version. I just wanted to have achievements.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at too, to be honest. I mean, obviously, my PC is, fingers crossed, stop breaking, so I will probably use it more. But yeah, I use my PC, I use my laptop, I use my Xbox, I stream stuff, I do cloud stuff. Like I'm the perfect consumer to them. So yeah, it would be good if we got kind of a bit more on the achievement support side, especially considering that's kind of where our addictions lie.
I think the only thing else to add was Xbox Avatar purchases made between November 1st, 2023 and January 9th, 2025 will be refunded once the app is closed.
That's good, at least.
Yeah. It's one of those things that's a shame to me, but I'm not surprised at the end of the day. All right. you want me to go for this Final Fantasy one?
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be an episode of this show if we didn't have some announcement from Square saying how much they love the Xbox and they never bring out their fucking games on it.
I'm gonna keep this very quick because I think we covered this like 2 weeks ago or something close to this.
I feel like it's the same story over and over again. Yeah.
Final Fantasy VII Rebirth director says Xbox is great, quotation marks, wants to see the trilogy on more platforms. I want to bring the remake series to as many players out there as possible. Yeah, that's pretty much the story.
Yeah, and they basically say they don't have anything to say about Xbox at this point, which means they obviously have something in the works, but they're not ready. They want to do some sort of announcement.
They're testing the market. They're putting it front and center in your mind.
Well, I mean, they did bring out the Pixel remasters, right? So maybe we get a Game Awards announcement or something. Who knows? I'm not holding my breath though. I would really like to play. I mean, yeah, like Rebirth has a really good chance of winning Game of the Year this year. So I always feel sad when I miss out. Like I mean, fucking Black Myth Wukong could also win Game of the Year. I can't play that either.
So I was watching. Is it Beat 'em Ups the other day? The Nintendo.
I have no idea.
He does Nintendo content. He's an Aussie that lives in the US. I think he raised a very cool point of if you have an adoption rate of Final Fantasy VII, Rebirth, 2 million players, Black Myth Wukong, 20 million players. I do think it's probably going to more lean on Black Myth Wukong.
Sure, but
just for the players.
But again, like there's like 100 people who decide. Like it's game critics who decide who wins Game of the Year.
No, it's game critics that decide the nominations, right?
No, they also.
But then
they also
the
vote.
the
audience votes. There is some audience.
Oh, the audience makes up a
certain amount of it. It's like, but I think it's a very, very small amount, if any, to be honest. Because there's no way they're leaving the Game Awards in the hands of the dirty populace. Are you kidding me? Have you seen some of the shit that these people play? That just put League of Legends on there every fucking year. Ugh.
Multiverse is getting in at like 2 years in a row.
Right, yeah.
That fighting.
I know there's some stuff where it's more heavily weighted, but I know Game of the Year is not good. Like people can vote for Game of the Year, but it's always going to be. I don't see Black Myth Wukong winning it. I would love to be wrong and eat my words, but I really feel like it's probably going to be Final Fantasy VII or Metaphor. Oh, actually,
all right.
Again, I'm just rehashing my stuff from last week. I'm going to keep second guessing myself at this point because I don't know.
I've said before, I think probably 2 weeks ago, Black Myth Wukong director gets on stage, says, "Hey,
oh yeah,
forgets that it goes on Xbox."
Yeah.
What's the likelihood of that being Rebirth?
I feel like that would be a good chance for them to announce it. I mean, your prediction is probably right, and I would like to be proved right because I do want to play it, but I probably won't play it till next year at this point.
You know what would be nice? Final Fantasy VII remake or Rebirth available now, even on just Windows PC.
Yeah, I mean it's available on Steam, right? So you guess,
yeah, something like that.
Be interesting.
Yeah. Similar to what they had with Death Stranding.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, could be.
I personally think in the next couple of years we have an Xbox presentation with a surprise Final Fantasy VII remake. I wouldn't be surprised if we have to wait for the whole trilogy to be out and then it's like bam.
Or at least for them to announce the next trilogy and announce that it's coming to Xbox at the same time, and then they release the old two. The other, like, you go, the next one's coming out in 6 months to a year. Also, the old ones are now available, so you can play them now and catch up before that one comes out. That's how I would do it.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy X3 remake. Ugh. Moonzon, what are you talking about?
If you're going to do Roman numerals, do Roman numerals.
Stick with them, yeah. Oh, man.
What is Final Fantasy X3? I've never heard of
that. I've never heard of this game. I've barely
heard of it. Is there
No, that's 13-3. That's 13 part 3. Moonzon. They did 3.
I thought he meant like 10 part 3.
Yeah, well, no. Apparently he meant Final Fantasy 13. Look, they already did 3 Final Fantasy 13 games, and only one of them was good, and that was the second one.
Weren't they talking about like doing remakes or something?
Yes, they were actually talking about potentially redoing, which I guess for 13 would probably make a little bit of sense considering how modern but also a long time ago it was. I know it's kind of in that weird spot where it's like because you get to
Kind
like
of
you get to like 12, and they obviously did like the Zodiac Age, and then they did they ported it to all the platforms with some of the extra features and stuff. But then they kind of stopped. They didn't do 13 at all.
I kind of feel like 13 would be one of those ones that they will just. It's like how Prototype and all that got the remake.
They ported them basically. Yeah,
They just straight up ported them. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I feel like the 360 is an interesting era, and I'll probably talk about this a little bit. I don't want to give it away too much, but I am thinking about what we're going to do for January and February for our monthly or bi-monthly event.
Xbox OG games. We don't worry about achievements at all. Whoa.
Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be so much fun. There aren't that many of them though that are actually worth playing. Play Knights of the Old Republic. You play Crimson Skies, and you're pretty much done. Oh, you play Jedi Empire.
Or we just do strategy games on PC.
Strategy games on PC. When you play fucking, you're gonna bust out the Japanese version of
Kung Fu, History Untold.
Oh god, get Legends of the Galactic Heroes in Japanese and try and get that game's Windows Live launcher running again. Yeah. Stubby says waiting for Mass Effect, probably releasing 2035. Yeah, if it ever comes out and BioWare doesn't get shut down. We'll see how Valguard did.
All right. Quick last two stories. Microsoft is reinstating its $1, £1, €1 Game Pass trial, but only for PC.
Which makes sense. That's what they said. They're seeing their growth, right? That's where they want to get people on board.
It makes sense. I mean, especially the Black Ops 6 and that kind of stuff.
For sure. Anytime they can get someone onto there versus on Steam is good for them, you know.
I had a mate today that were just like, oh, you should come play zombies. Because all of them, were, like, they're the original, high school crew that dragged me into Call of Duty and all that back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just like, it's all cross-play in that now. I can play my Xbox, you can play on PC.
Yeah.
Just come grab it. I'm just like, oh, it's, just spend $1 in Game Pass and all that if you want to just try it. And they just full-on bought the edition.
Yeah, I mean, like COD is a huge seller and always has been, right? They were very, very, very upfront about how they wanted it to be multi-plat for that exact reason.
Yeah. I think even, like, moving forward, PC Game Pass is probably, like, Ultimate is the best option, but if you wanted to go, like, for a lower tier...
I mean, PC has pretty much all of Ultimate's features just only on the PC. So if you're a PC gamer, that's definitely a good way to go.
Especially if you got like a beefy rig or
yeah, exactly. I mean, shit. If you've got anything that's relatively been built in the last couple of years, you better play just about everything that's on Game Pass.
Yeah. And then the other thing finally that I included is actually a tweet, but I thought it'd be an interesting discussion piece. Dishonored director says negative Stalker 2 reviews are why developers now make safe, boring games.
Oh boy!
I want to read this out for you,
Yeah,
and I just wanted to get your opinions on this because I thought it would be a good conversation to have.
Sure.
The Metacritic ecosystem encourages devs to make safe, boring games. As long as the game is polished at launch, you're guaranteed an 80%, no matter how boring the game might be. Meanwhile, Stalker 2 gets a 73 because it's a bit rough around the edges at launch. Unfair, misleading. And then, like, one of the top comments, we held off on our review. The developers emailed us every other day with full transparency on what they were fixing and what they had left leading up to launch. This has happened before, but I think the transparency is important and reviewers should be open to holding. Show more. Holding these reviews. However, sites are chasing clicks and these larger websites need day one coverage to be a resource. Sometimes they don't have budget for their reviewer to do a review in progress and a review. So we get these MC scores that will forever reflect the game at launch. The scores can't be changed either. However, you also have scores for the sake of scores. Spider-Man 2 launched with so many bugs, but the scores showed 9s and 10s. Our reviewer gave it a 7, and the community tore us to pieces for it. In our minds, a game with that budget should not be launched in such a state, so it's all nuanced. I love to maybe connect with you on a call for a couple of statements and pick your brain on this topic. Absolutely, it's a complex topic. These are there are exceptions. Good behaviors, bad behaviors, and reasons why there is so much tension. Different actors have different interests.
I will just...
Do you agree or disagree?
I will start with this one statement that developers have to remind themselves of, right?
Yeah.
And I say this as someone who plays a lot of video games, right? And you know, again, we don't do like reviews or scores, right? But we do critique video games, right? At the end of the day, that's what a big part of this podcast is about, where we're not just shit posting.
I want to caveat that
Yes.
too. As achievement hunters and that, we tend to play games in different states of release.
For sure.
So
Yeah.
you know, we don't always jump on the newest release. Like sometimes we will,
Occasionally, yeah.
but yeah, Stalker 2, for example, I played day one. I went, all right, this is a little bit buggy for me. I'm going to wait until this experience is optimized.
Yeah.
And that's when I want to promote it to the community and have that deeper discussion.
For sure. Here's the thing. Reviewers don't actually owe developers anything at the end of the day. Reviewers and these sites are not a part of their marketing arm. They're not being paid to promote these things. Like, they don't have any responsibility. Their responsibility basically is to make sure that their opinions are as informed as possible, and to give their opinions to people to make sure that people understand what they're buying before they buy it. Also, I apologize if it looks like I'm looking over here. It's because I had to move my screen around, so this visually looks a bit weird. So while I agree, I agree with the statement that most of the time, most games get above an 8, because if your game is good, then you'll probably get an 8, right? 8 is good.
Yeah,
8 is supposed to be great, but sure. If your game has some problems, you'll probably get a 7, and if your game is completely broken, you'll get a 5, and that's just the truth of it, right? Because and like I've never been a huge fan of the 10-point scale, and there's all kinds of problems with it, and like you can go all the way back to when we used to break things down into scores of like what did I give the score sound, like the sound score, what did I like the story, the graphics, like when people used to break it down and give a score for each individual thing, and like they had some like games, I know GameSpot used to have some sort of like metric thing that you type in all your scores and it gives you anyway. You know, I think when you read or watch a review or interact with a review in any kind of way, you basically need to judge it on the person who's giving that review and what your opinions are of their tastes versus yours, and what their opinions have been in the past. So if I come on here and I talk about how I didn't really like Need for Speed Unbound, and I thought it was like I didn't like the structure.
No later will call you out and tell you wrong.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, right? Is that like I'm not a racing guy, right? But I have played a lot of racing games in the past, and they're not really my genre. So you get an idea of like someone who's like me, who maybe casually plays racing games and enjoys them, might not have as much fun with it as, say, like how much I enjoy Burnout Paradise.
Yeah.
Whereas someone like you, who plays racing games quite a bit, and you tend to be quite into them, and you played a lot more of them than I have, you know, your opinion might be different. And the idea is that you take our opinions and you go, well, I align more with Cameron with his taste in games with this kind of genre. So I think Cameron's point of view is probably the most aligned to what I want. And if he liked it, then I'm probably going to like it. Like the idea is this whole thing was like, you know, having like an unbiased review or having like that kind of, it's just complete bullshit. Because at the end of the day, you're a person giving your opinion. Even on IGN, the reviewer still wrote that, and they usually have their name in the byline, and you can look at their other reviews. The idea that coming out and going, oh, you know, it's kind of unfair for reviewers to put out their review on day one is kind of bullshit, to be honest, because it's like, oh, well, they're going to fix it later. That's kind of not the reviewer's problem, and it's also not the consumer's problem. The reviewer has a responsibility to say, this thing is available for purchase. I'm going to tell you the state that it is in if you bought it today, because they don't know when you're going to buy the game. They can't, and also and publishers and developers have lied so much about, oh yeah, we'll fix that later, or we'll fix that, or that's coming later.
And then they just like, we'll move to the next.
Move on to the next project, budget, like, and like, it's not always like they may have good intentions, right? Like I'm not saying that they're like evil capitalists who are going to try and trick people. It's like sometimes it's just like, you know, the game doesn't sell well enough to continue development on it, and they're like, oh well, we have to move on to another project. We can't really continue to support this.
Yeah, like I'd love to keep working on this, but I can't afford to feed my family.
Yeah, it's like especially if I'm doing all this work for free for people who have bought the game already and are not going to buy any more of them. Yeah, it's like it sucks, but like that's the reality of game making being both an art and a business.
Yeah. I do so two things for me. First thing, like whilst we're still touching base on this, I would say to me, I think the reviewers have more of a They have a commitment to their audience.
For sure.
But no, I still think there should be like more. This is the thing. I think how Stalker has been reviewed might be a little bit unfair. The reviews that I've seen, if the developers are being transparent and knowing that they're in a war zone and everything, like that's not saying that it's a bad game or anything. But I think if the developers and that are being transparent to the reviewers that this is the state, I believe that is the case. Then that information should be passed on.
Sure, but that doesn't necessarily mean you should change your score based on it. You know, like if you were going to give this game a 7 out of 10 because of its problems, and the developer says, "Oh, we're working on those," you can say, "Developers have said they're going to be working on this. Hopefully this will be better in the future."
I'm just saying, like, there should be a middle ground between it. It should be a case of like, perfect example of this was I saw today in the Xbox subreddit, No Man's Sky on Steam when it was first launched, overly negative score. Yeah,
because it was bad.
That released 20. What year was it?
18?
Do you remember what year?
2018.
It's been over 5 years at least,
yes,
right?
Yes, it definitely has. Yeah.
It just reached not overwhelmingly positive, very positive.
Very positive on Steam. I saw it. And Sean Murray was very happy about it. 2018. Sorry, 2018. Yeah.
So 6 years after the fact, they've finally changed their all reviews to very positive, which I think is
it's a huge achievement.
A huge achievement, especially to be able to sway the general audience over that. Like a lot of these games will launch and that's it. That's the final score for most of it.
Sure.
And that's why we've got 2 categories on Steam for recent reviews and all reviews. Trying to think what I think the other point I want to go into though was more so the make safe boring games.
Sure.
Because I do think there are some studios that are more guilty. Like, man, I'm gonna just go Ubisoft.
Ubisoft, yeah, is the first one that came to mind.
Assassin's Creed and all that. They've just become so formula driven over the years that it's so hard to see any individuality in like Assassin's Creed other than a setting.
Yeah.
Like that's more how I perceive this.
I'm with you though. I get what you're saying.
Like less on the reviewers, more on the. I feel like devs are forced into a situation where they have these massive budgets that they need to adhere to. We're getting to. Like I feel like creativity is dead.
Well, look, I'm not going to go all that way down on that path and basically say that only derivative stuff sells because like. Yes.
Yeah.
Like this is not I think we're talking about an issue here that is not unique to video games. This is the same in the film industry, same in TV.
I'm thinking across all media.
Yeah, exactly. Like this is a common thing. And like Shane pointed out in the chat, like sales matter most at the end of the days. I always read reviews, but I never let that sway my opinion before I buy a game or watch a movie. Exactly. Like I think that being informed is one thing, but the idea that like safe games are the only ones that sell is first of all just not true. I think like for big developers, sure, that there may be something to that, but I think we're seeing in the indie space. The indie space is really the ones that are doing all the interesting work. Like we talk about indie games a lot more than we talk about AAA games in terms of like singing their praises, because we know they have less. They got less to work with. They're more creative. They're more interesting. They take better risks, and they're also better priced and more reasonably made.
And I would say, like, the vision's clearer.
Sure.
Like when you have a one person or a small team working on a vision, it's very reflected in the work as compared to a studio with say 200 to 500 employees.
Exactly. And like Firehawk says in the chat, safe games only sell. Balatro or Inscription would love to have a word. Like Dave Mullins games. Exit Vampire stuff. There are so many examples of it just straight up not being true. Now there are a lot of examples of just games, like really great games, just not selling enough and just not taking off. And like, I mean, we are a very small niche of a niche in this community, but I think to say that only safe games sell well is really missing the idea of like safe games. I mean, safe games do sell relatively well, but they're so heavily invested into that they're also not sustainable. Like we're seeing this all over the industry. People talking about it, like it's like Ubisoft can't afford to have that many people make that game, and like this is like we saw this with Star Wars Outlaws. With like again, that is a huge project with a huge IP with a lot of money behind it. Didn't do very well. Like I've seen it discounted hugely for Black Friday all over the place for like half price. That game came out like 2 months ago. Like that's crazy. Shane also brings up that like the Dishonored guy's probably having a rough time. It's like yes, like Arcane in particular, obviously, having one of the studios shut down, and the games industry is in a very rough spot right now. I don't know. I can see both sides of it, but at the end of the day, I just want good games to play. I don't really care if 500 people make it or one person makes it. I'm not going to change my review based around the other scenarios. Like I'm not going to change my thoughts on the game are not going to change based on, like did I like or did I not like the game? It doesn't actually matter if 500 people made it or one person made it. If it's like, there are certain things where it's like, the voice acting is not that great. Sure, okay, voice acting can be expensive. If you're making your indie game and it's got no voice acting and it's just text, I can kind of understand that, right? But if the core concepts behind your game are good, it doesn't matter. But again, I'm talking objectively. I'm not talking about sales because sales is kind of a different thing.
Yeah.
Stubby also asks, like, what is a safe game? Like, how do you define what a safe game is? Is it just sequels? I mean, sequels do tend to sell better than the originals. We do know that.
I would say just same old established IPs, formula driven. Hey, X tested well. We're gonna keep on.
Yeah.
Our audience liked Assassin's Creed. This we're gonna. Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, like Assassin's Creed Shadow was very much the break glass in need of focus testing game, right? Because they were like, what have people wanted for Assassin's Creed forever? Samurai and ninja in Japan. Moonzom says Overwatch 2. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Right. That's a fucking great example of just not understanding. Yeah. I don't know.
Man, you remember when Blizzard was
good? It's been
good,
a long
the crowd, like
back when StarCraft 2 came out. Yeah, all those years ago. Yeah, I don't know. Make good games. I mean, like, to be fair, this year's Call of Duty, pretty good. Like,
I do say, like, Treyarch is my favorite studio that works on COD.
Yeah, Infinity Ward used to be my favorite back in the day, but Black Ops has been solidly good.
I will say, like, Cold War, I didn't really care for the multiplayer and the zombies.
Sure.
But even Cold War's campaign was still pretty solid.
I mean, I'll say this right now. Like, there's a good chance that Black Ops 6 makes it onto my Game of the Year list somewhere.
I think so too.
I think it was like if I'm doing like I think what did we do last year? Top fives, I think.
I think last year we worked together to make a top 10 list.
We did. I think we did individual top fives and then we did top 10 for the podcast itself. Yep. Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I'm trying to wrap up as many games as possible for 2024 games before the end of the year. So we'll see if that changes. But yeah, I want to play Unknown 9. Yeah, it's a good shout there. Forspoken? Yeah. Well,
Yeah. Unknown 9 is interesting to me.
I like the concept.
I need to get around to like Kill Knight, Conscript. There's so many that...
There is a lot. There is, again, even in slow years, we still have way more games that we could play than we'll ever have time for.
Yeah.
But not all of those are safe games, I get the feeling that even my Game of the Year this year might be a safe game. It might not. We'll see. Depends on what you think. I mean, I'll tell you what, like, is Metaphor a safe game? I don't know, right? Like, does that count?
I don't think so.
I mean, it's definitely from an established publisher and developer, right? Obviously, they have a lot of experience with the Persona series, but it's not using the Persona IP.
It's a new IP. I'd say it's a swing, even if they're relying on the systems of Persona.
Yeah, very much so, and it's very much built on. Again, the team was spun off from the original Persona team to make this game, and it obviously is Persona DNA all the way through it. But
I think that's fine because then, like, you're still establishing new characters, new story, and all that. Like, there's still so much risk, associated with that.
Mm-hmm.
It's like who would have thought that Striking Distance Studios would have come out and made like a roguelite.
Yeah.
Like an isometric roguelite that similar to Hades. Like I wasn't expecting that, and I was like, hey, I'm gonna buy this. This is probably gonna be a game that I enjoy. I did not think it was gonna be like top of my game of the year list.
Yeah. I still, again, I might try and pick that up while I'm away, actually. Maybe just play it over the holidays. We'll see. Because I'm definitely keen on it.
It's just that one more run each that
I,
gets you.
I do love those kinds of games, even though, yeah.
Like I don't have to think too hard about this. It's just reaction. Yeah. If some indie studio had made Metaphor, I'd consider that a far bigger swing.
Yeah, that's a fair point. That's a fair point. But I think the content of the game itself, and yeah. But the problem is that like a game that big with that many people working on it suddenly becomes not safe because it has to sell a certain million number of units. Whereas like an indie studio made a smaller, more condensed version of the game, not necessarily the case. I don't know. I feel like safe doesn't. Yeah.
I would say this, like even to take Control for example.
Yes.
I think Firebreak has to sell
like 3 million units. I think
3 million units.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the next Control game needs to sell like 5 million or something, some crazy amount. Anyway.
So Firebreak for me would not be a safe game because it's a multiplayer.
Sure, I mean it's an established IP, but it's a brand new genre, brand new characters, like.
But then is Control 2 a safe game then? Like it's.
Well, is Alan Wake 2 a safe game? Was that a safe game? Because they only.
I wouldn't say so because it was like. You got to take time into consideration as well. Like you might have lost your audience over what was it, 11 years?
Yeah, exactly.
There's so many caveats.
And that was my game of the year. And like I mean, is Alan Wake a AAA game? Probably. I mean, Remedy's a large studio. They're not a massive studio, but they're a large studio. I don't know. It's yeah. Shane says maybe I'll make it a point next year to play all the flops from this year. I'd be so curious to hear that actually playing games that were just like negatively reviewed and giving some feedback, like some historical context. Yeah, that would actually be really interesting. Let's do something about it. Yeah, we should definitely do something.
It's kind of like certain movies, right? Like
like
certain movies
cult
get
classics.
reviewed well.
Yeah,
and they just become a cult classic. We could do the game version of that.
I'm very curious about that. Maybe we should do a bit of a vote or something.
We should have a look at like each year over the last 10 years and see like what hasn't done well. Go back and formulate some thoughts on it.
That's a great idea. I love that idea.
Your book club.
All right. Game Pass updates. I will just flick through these quickly. We had Stalker 2, as we talked about, join on the 20th. We had Little Kitty Big City added to Game Pass Standard on the 20th as well. Genshin Impact, no one needs to play that on the 20th. Played Up came to Game Pass Standard. And then in Ultimate, we only had 2 games. We had Nine Souls, which just got added on the 26th. And Aliens Dark Descent, which got added on the 27th. I'm very keen on Dark Descent. I heard it was actually pretty good.
So I'm trying to think what has been announced for December. We've got like Indiana Jones and there was something else.
That's pretty much it, I think. I don't actually think there's anything confirmed.
Well, Indiana Jones is like the 5th, right?
Yeah, something like the 7th or something. Yeah.
Trying to find it.
Yeah, I don't know if they have any other games announced for December. They're really keeping their cards close to their chest, and I can kind of see why, to be honest. Like, there is not like Game Pass is losing a lot more than it's gaining, especially with this new split between like Standard and Ultimate.
I hate it. It's so confusing.
It's not great. It's really not great. Like I'm excited for Dark Descent, and like Nine Souls looks interesting, although kind of really punishing. But there's not been a huge amount like lately that I've been like, oh yeah, sweet, Game Pass adding. I definitely want to play that straight away. You know, nothing like, you know, well, again, it's sort of like Black Ops, right? But I don't know. I figured they thought Stalker was going to be more of a pull than it was.
Was it Overthrown? No.
That's next year.
No, it's December.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, okay. December Xbox release date.
Gotcha.
Where is it? December 5th.
Oh, okay.
So Overthrown was the other one. Overthrown, Indiana Jones, and then we've got like 5 games announced for 2024 that we haven't had updates on.
Oh, really? Okay.
Where's my Pigeon Simulator?
Pigeons. Is that the one where you just go around shitting more people?
I Become a pigeon, poop on everyone,
Yep. Okay.
destroy
Yes.
everything.
Yes. Okay. Yep.
There's a game developer from Sydney that I met at GCAP last year, and he made a game called The Godfeather, and it's
Yes, I've heard about
like
this.
it's the
Yes.
same kind of concept and all that. I
Yes.
wish it came to Xbox.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember hearing about that. All right.
Ooh.
Patreon.com/allthegamers. If you want to help support the show, we put all the money back into it to help pay for like licensing fees for like hosting the show and occasionally getting new pieces of equipment when shit breaks. And yeah, and like also for Zoom, although we are testing this on Discord, so hopefully we can save some money there. But a huge thank you to Lee Howard, Mikhail KV, Natolinator, Mad Lefty, Admiral Awesome, Hackby Moogles, Kung Fu Skills, Hack and Pone, Cavaliero7, Old Mate Clown, Mace J, Left for Legacy, and McNulty. We literally could not afford to do the show without you guys, so thank you very much. Don't worry, we're not retiring or putting anything in a Swiss bank account anytime soon. And we do any kind of extra content that we do, I do put on there. We haven't really been able to do the behind the scenes stuff recently because of the way we've changed our recording stuff, but any kind of extra content that we do around Game of the Year stuff, we'll put on Patreon and all that kind of stuff as well. I make sure that all the content is available at any tier. So if you want to pay the minimum amount of like $2 or whatever, that's great. You get everything. If you want to pay extra just to help us out, then we appreciate it, but we don't want to content gate people, just if they want to help support the show. Although plenty of you already support the show by interacting in our Discord and hang out and that sort of stuff anyway, so we greatly appreciate it. We've also got our monthly theme, or the bimestral burden, as Keo has dubbed it, which is every 2 months we do a theme where we get people to play different kinds of games. And so for November and December, we're doing the Game of the Year grab bag. It's the race to finish up as many 2024 games as you can. So you can get the top 10 list ready of at least more than top 10 games to talk about Game of the Year stuff early next year or into this year, depending on how that goes. I've been really pushing to try and do some 2024 games. It is tough though because there's so much backlog. But nearly got Black Ops done. Nearly got Phoenix Wright done. We're doing a lot of stuff actually in the 2024 bucket.
How do you have time?
What do you mean?
Like I'm trying to get through it. I'm just like I'm gonna get Black Ops Zombies done.
I've been playing a lot of Black Ops Zombies. I haven't finished it yet though. It's still the Double XP weekend's been good, but
I have not been able to notice any different Double XP weekend.
Really? No, I've been flying through it.
I've got like 6 augments.
I got 6 augments done now, and I started at 3. So I'm doing a lot.
Just today.
Last 2 days.
Okay.
But I'm also making sure to like switch weapons and get like the mastery badges and all that kind of stuff because you get XP for doing those as well. So.
Okay. You're probably going to be more optimized.
Yeah, a little bit, but I'm still having a pretty good time with it. Again, I don't have too much to say about Black Ops other than I'm spending a shitload of time with it, with the zombie stuff. Just the new directed mode is really, really helpful. You just keep things at wave 15 and just kind of run that. I've been running it for hours and hours and hours just to kind of get experience. Yeah, works pretty well. I don't know. Do you have anything to say about it, Cameron?
Trying to think. I did discover a new glitch.
Oh, yes. Okay.
All right. On Liberty Fall. On Liberty. If you I'm trying to think of the best way to explain this. So start off the center of the map.
Mm-hmm.
You go the right path.
Yep.
You go to the bank.
Yep.
But you don't open the door on the jug side or the front entrance.
Mm-hmm.
You go above with the zip line.
Yep.
You open it down the side there.
Yep.
You then fall down that alleyway.
Mm-hmm.
You go around. Sorry, you don't. I'm running out of order. So you go to the top of the bank.
Yes.
You buy that purchase to remove the
wall.
The ball. Yep. You fall down one bit.
Mm-hmm.
There is a door that you can purchase through the window there that's glitched.
Oh.
So you purchase that. You then fall again to the alleyway. You go around the corner. Now on the very on the bench for the bank,
mm-hmm.
like the front counter, you go far back against the wall. Far back on the bench, up against the wall. The zombies will never hit you from behind. They will climb onto the counter, and you can work on your headshots.
Oh, that's very clever. Okay, interesting.
Yeah. So they'll all just come in front of you, or they might go like push.
So they'll go around the
counter.
side and into the front. Yeah. Okay.
The only problem with that is the if you've got the abomination,
Yeah.
because the abomination will just fall and like whack you off.
Yeah, gotcha.
But it's really good for like getting headshots.
Okay, good, because I've been working on camos and stuff just to kind of keep myself sane by switching weapons and stuff, and it's interesting. Okay, no, it's good to know.
Yeah, but it's pretty easy to set up. I've tried to do a few other things for that map, but I'm getting to the point. It's just boring. I really hope they add achievements to the next.
I mean,
map.
I don't even feel like they need to add achievements. Like, if they just add some new maps and stuff, like, I don't know.
Maybe just
Just give you another excuse to do some more Easter eggs and stuff. Maybe, I don't know. I'm enjoying it, but I'm kind of with you. Like, I've been waiting for a double XP weekend to really put some time into it. I don't know if I'll get all the other augments done before the weekend's over, but I'll make a good progress towards it, and then I'll just wait for the next one. What else have we been playing? Age of Mythology. Yes, we've been working on that a little bit. What are your thoughts?
I quite like this. Is it the Arena of the Gods?
Arena of the Gods. Yeah, this title update thing they did.
Okay, so for most of it, I feel like it's pretty samey, but I love Age of Mythology anyway, so it's fine. I will say the one that we did yesterday, they gave us like 50,000 each resource, and it was just like pump out those units, just
get some Titans out. Like it was a lot. Yeah.
It was hectic, but man, it was fun.
It was really hectic though, because obviously the AI uses their resources way fucking better than we did. But you also have to go through on hard, which is not overly difficult. Just there's a little bit of challenge to it. I'm having a good time with it. I don't necessarily feel like I needed to have like fucking what does it feels like 20 levels. I think it is 20 skirmishes.
Yeah.
I'm like,
I like the fact that it's co-op. We can take our time with it.
Yeah, for sure,
like,
for sure.
Enjoyable. I feel like hopefully they do some more stuff with variety.
Yeah.
Because like I like that kind of. I like them making it more experimental. Like, here are the rules of this match.
Yeah,
like,
I do like the modifiers and kind of messing with stuff. I'm curious to see if it gets any more interesting going forward though.
Yeah,
because I feel like the kind of stuff that's in there at the moment is kind of like oh okay. Like there's one that was like units that die get revived after a while, which is kind of annoying. Like I don't really feel like it adds much to the game itself. It just means you just got to stand there and wait for them to come back.
I think like the resource change, like what was it? The trees, you having that god power that immediately let us cross over.
Yeah, burn the trees and that kind of stuff, and being able to pick your own god powers and it's very much just like an excuse to do skirmishes. It reminds me of StarCraft 2 actually did a similar thing where they had a co-op like campaign mission thing where they just kind of like, hey, like the commanders thing where every different commander had different abilities. It feels very similar to that. I'm having a good time with it though. I mean, as bad as I am at that game.
I think I think it's very much. What's the right word? I don't know. I don't think there's really much else to say about it.
It's really bare bones. Like I was really hoping for maybe a bit more to it, but I guess we'll see what they do with the paid DLC coming up.
Yeah. Other than that, I'm just going to quickly go through the ones I've done. RoboQuest, there was a quick update this week which added an endless mode in.
Oh.
That was pretty easy. Knocked that out in 35 minutes. Of course, I found out that, Bulbasaur posts the completion in the Discord, and I'm just like, wait, can you, please tell me these updates are coming out? I love this game.
Yeah, right.
Like, RoboQuest, more people need to play it. It scratches that one more run itch.
Yeah, I have been sort of tempted, but again, it's hard to justify when I got so much else to play. But I'm with you.
Yeah. You're the story guy. I'm the gameplay guy.
This is true. Speaking of story, I've been playing more of the Ace Attorney Apollo trilogy. I'm basically right at the end of the second game, and we've just had the big reveal, and Alice and I both looked at each other and just lost our fucking shit. I got the reveal, and then we started this podcast, so I have not had the resolution yet. But I still cannot fucking believe it. But I will not spoil anything. Again, this is a game that is 10 years old at this point because obviously it came out on the 3DS or whatever, but I've never played it before. Holy fucking shit. I love murder mysteries. I love the whodunits. This is my fucking jam.
I don't know why the first thought that crossed into my mind was just one of your parents calling you and being like, We found it. We found the murderer from like 15 years ago.
Exactly.
Wait up. I have to go and do a podcast.
Yeah, exactly. It's, so I'm itching to get back to that game, so I will be doing that as soon as we're done here.
Right. So the question I want to ask is, I played 4 minutes with Nikita.
Sure.
Which I liked that kind of puzzle element and doing it with your partner. Are those Ace Attorney? Is this collection achievement friendly in such a way that me and Nikita could sit down together and do it without me having to worry about any misses?
For the most part. I mean, again, there's a couple of it has like a chapter select within each case. So if you miss something, you can kind of go back and get it. It's a bit of a pain, but you can skip the text and that kind of stuff. It's pretty straightforward. Like I've got a Steam guide up that just tells me like, hey, in this episode, just make sure to do this one thing. Like make sure to investigate this one thing or ask this one question. The majority of it, like I haven't needed a guide for any of the puzzles or anything. I've definitely fucked up a few times. I've had to like bash my head against stuff and be like, oh, actually, this is the way things.
No spoilers guide, essentially.
Yeah, exactly. So there's like a Steam guide that basically tells you like, hey, this is the missable thing for this. Just make sure like some of them are like pick the wrong option on purpose for this question to get like a funny joke and an achievement. So it's really, really good. I haven't had any problems with it. And it's been a really great just kind of, I've been sitting for hours again, because these games, it's 3 games and they're not short. So yeah definitely. And just, Apollo is Gumshoe's secret lover. Yes. Thank you, Shane. But yes, highly recommend that collection. Again, play the original first. If you're still listening to this before the Black Friday sale is done, they have all 6 of the games. The two different collections are on sale in a pack for like $50 New Zealand or whatever, down from like 120. So I just fucking bought it. I was like, fuck it, whatever. Loved it. I'm very curious to see what they do with the next game. Again, I'm kind of playing blind because this is a collection that I kind of missed out on because I didn't own a 3DS. So the series kind of died for me for a bit. But I'm hoping that they do more of these games. I know they have the Prosecutor Investigation Miles Edgeworth games as well. They did a collection of 1 and 2, and they got a few other kind of spin-offs from this series. I'm hoping they do more of the series in general, but I'd love to see more of these games because this is my jam. I'm trying to think. I don't have a huge amount else that I've played this week. I did hit my 2.5 million milestone with JoJo Siwa's Worldwide Party. It is a very bad rhythm game that I played on mute. It was 2.5 hours almost exactly. And I'm glad it wasn't any longer because it just felt like a real fucking drag. I don't know who JoJo Siwa is. Allison had to explain to me. But
she's an American singer and dancer, apparently.
She was from, what was she from, Allison?
Dance Moms.
Dance Moms, apparently. So
TLC
show. All right. I don't know, but got the game done. Got my milestone. Added it to the trophy case. Super happy about that. One of my 2024 games I will quickly talk about is Tales of Kanzera Zao. This is also on sale for Black Friday. This is one of those ones that got a lot of those indie games that got a lot of press beforehand, basically kind of due to its emotional nature of its story.
Yeah. Isn't the guy? I might be completely off with that. Isn't the developer for this game the guy that was in Origins, Assassin's Creed Origins? Am I making a false connection there?
I don't remember. Maybe look it up. Like I can't. I know that this thing was kind of like it was a very personal story to him in terms of this game. But the idea is that basically you are is a boy whose father has passed away, and he's trying to come to terms with his father's death. And so he starts reading a story that his father was writing about a similar situation, where a shaman goes to the god of death to basically try to barter for his father's life back again. And so you basically go through this kind of Metroidvania style adventure to try and find the 3 great spirits that have resisted death, that death needs to claim in order to basically get his father back. Sorry, Cameron?
Yeah, he is the voice actor for Bayek.
Oh, okay, yes, okay, right, yeah, Bayek, yeah.
He also plays Eros in Stray Gods.
Oh, right, okay, yeah, actually, yeah, that does track, actually.
I was like, I wasn't sure if I just made that connection.
No, yeah, I remember there was some connection they've got talked a lot about because I think he showed up on like the FPS podcast and a few other bits and pieces or whatever. Yeah. So the idea of the game is that you're a shaman. You have 2 different masks. You have a moon mask which has like a ranged attack, and then you have a sun mask which is your melee. You kind of switch between them on the fly. You also get like level ups and some upgrades to some of the abilities. You get like a super powerful ability by clicking both the sticks in to use up some bar. You can heal automatically. I feel really bad because this game is really fucking average. I think it's beautiful. Like, I love the art style and I love the like design, and the voice acting and the music is all very, very good. But playing this game is really boring. The platforming is okay. It's fine. The combat is a real drag. It's not that interesting. There's not a lot of variety. You don't get a huge amount of upgrades. Let me put it this way. It's a Metroidvania, a very, very light Metroidvania, in that you sometimes go back to areas with new abilities to explore them to get a couple of collectibles, but for the most game, the game is almost completely linear.
Okay.
It feels like it reminds me a lot of Ori, but like it's like baby's first Ori. Like, it has a similar kind of dash through walls ability. You have like a the sort of, I can't remember what it's called, but the one where you basically like fling yourself by aiming at something. Like, the combat is also quite similar in terms of like having like a ranged and melee kind of things. It reminds me a lot of like Ori 2. But it just is not super satisfying to play, and it's just really, really straightforward. Like, there aren't a lot of upgrades. Like, your level, like when you level up and you buy new abilities, there's only like one of them is like, oh, you get one new attack, which is like a down bash ability. One of them is like, oh, we add an extra move, like an extra attack to your combo. It's very, very straightforward in a way that I feel like kind of takes away from the game. It's also like a Metroidvania platformer style game that gives you a double jump and a dash like immediately. So like you can like it's at a clip. Like, it's like, okay, well, we're just gonna like you push this game, and there's 3 main areas and then like a final area, like and so each of the 3 areas has 2 different abilities that you get, and so you usually have to get the ability and go back to a different place within that area. But the abilities don't tend to overlap too much. It only started getting really interesting in like the final area where I had like 6 different abilities, and the platforming got a bit more challenging because it's like, okay, use this, then this, then this, and like it started being like, okay, now I'm kind of getting a feel for it. It's a little bit challenging, but the combat is still a real fucking drag. It does the guacamole thing of like locking you in an arena until you finish an area. Actually, if I was going to compare it to 2 things, it would be like guacamole meets Ori, but like both like a very base level of each of them, which I feel terrible for like not being like, this is like a 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10 game of the year contender. It just really is not. I do like the story, and it is very heartfelt, like, again, because it's a very sort of personal kind of journey. There's a lot of talk, there's a lot of like philosophical stuff around like kind of death and moving on, and like also like the kind of like being a parent and being a child and how that relationship works. And it's like, it's quite interesting and I like it a lot. But I just, like playing through it, I just was not having a great time, unfortunately, which is a real shame because I really feel like this could have been something special. And it kind of really seemed like it was when they were talking about it pre-launch, even if it was a shorter game. Like, again, I'm fine with a 5 to 6 hour experience, but I just feel like,
Yeah.
But it is on sale if you want to give it a try. Like, it was like 50% off, so it's probably not a bad time to get it now if you want to try it and kind of support the developer. But I also don't think the game sold very well, as far as I heard.
See, that was the thing. Like, the best way to put this. So many games that this year that Twitter mob and all that are just saying are woke and that. I wasn't sure what kind of like this one fell into, because some of the reviewers said like, good story and all that, but very basic, especially when you've got Metroidvanias are like a very hard market to crack.
Yeah, and he did say like it was like it's a Metroidvania, like inspired by Metroidvania as opposed to being like a strict one. And you're right, it definitely is a hard like nut to crack in terms of like Metroidvania fans tend to be very like, hey, if it's not Symphony of the Night, you're shit. Which like sure. But
you think of stuff like Ori though and Guacamole and all that, like
like I love those games. Some more than others, but I definitely like Metroidvania is one of my favorite genres, and it's just really unfortunate to like have something like this where it's like it has a lot of the interesting bones of that, but just kind of not. I don't know.
Yeah, that sucks. What else have you been playing?
And I guess the last thing I've been playing is and sorry, Subi just asked, is it going to have any missables? No, there are no missables. Most of the achievements are story related. There's one for like kill 4 enemies with your moon special ability and with your sun special ability. You'll get that in no time. There's also like an active reload thing for some reason. One of the abilities is like an active reload for your moon ability, which is kind of weird, but whatever.
Not like Gears.
Like Gears, yeah, like Gears, like very much like when you're reloading, you have to press the button quickly to quickly reload your guns or whatever. It's kind of weird, but
Hey, we saw that one mechanic in Gears.
yeah,
That we're going to do up
that's the one they wanted.
man.
And sorry, yes, the last thing I've been playing, I have not put as much time into it as I would like to, but I've been playing a bit more of Life is Strange Double Exposure, which I will get done for Game of the Year chat this year. I just finished episode 2, so I'm about halfway through it. Again, had the like end of episode 2 special like this like reveal, like, oh, okay, cool, turn thing on its head, this crazy shit's going on. I don't know if I like it yet. I can already tell it's not as good as True Colors. I think True Colors had the best pacing. The thing about True Colors was, and again, like go listen to my spoiler cast of that if you haven't played it, or if you have played it rather.
So,
yes.
I just want to ask.
Yes.
Best pacing in all of Life is Strange titles, or
I think so. I think so. I really enjoyed the first Life is Strange game. Going back and playing it now, obviously it's aged quite a bit. There's some rough.
Yeah.
It's definitely got some rough edges, but
I think that's the writing though. I think Life is Strange 1 was like the best paced out of all of them. True Colors.
Yeah. Okay. I guess. I mean,
in 4 and 5 for me.
Sure, that's fine. I think that like Life is Strange 1 was very much about unraveling a kind of mystery, but also just kind of having an interesting time.
Yeah,
because it was like, the whole thing with 1 was like looking for Rachel and trying to figure out what happened to her, and like, did she just run away? Did something happen to her? Who was she? And like discovering her again, like things that Chloe didn't know about her and all that kind of stuff, and it was kind of interesting of like what Chloe thought of her as, and who she actually ended up being, and then also Max's relationship with Chloe. Like, it was very relationship driven.
Yeah,
and like obviously there was this underlying mystery that we were kind of trying to solve, and then also like what's happening to Arcadia Bay, what's happening with the tornado or the hurricane. How do you prevent it from happening? Whereas Life is Strange 2 was like, hey, fucked up shit happened. You need to be on. You're like, things are changing every single episode. Yeah. You are moving from place to place, meeting new characters, leaving them, never hearing from them again. And like, I did not like 2 at all. I felt like, and the reason why I like True Colors so much is because it was like, you spend the entirety of that game, for the most part, in that town, and you walk the same street all 5 episodes, and you basically go, and then they change the context around it. It's like, this time there's a festival going on. This time this is the LARP, which is again the best episode of that thing. This, okay. Do you know what the central concept of this game is?
I think so.
Okay, this is very. This is a spoiler, but it is literally the concept of, when they explain the game, this is the concept that they gave. So I apologize if you want to skip like the next minute or 2, and I'm going to quickly talk about like the central concept of this game. So you play as Max again.
Yep.
She has moved on from Arcadia Bay. You, in an early conversation, you basically tell them what decision you made at the end of the first game. Again, I will not. I was just about to spoil that. I won't spoil that. But you basically, so that kind of dictates the narrative path. Again, I haven't figured out exactly how much.
You can choose essentially.
Yes, it will tell you basically. It's like, it'll allow you to kind of fill in the blanks of kind of what happened in the first game. So you can kind of, the game will change according to that, based on like what your relationship was to Chloe, what choices you made, some of the choices. She now works at a university as like a kind of like a guest lecturer, like artist in residence, to talk about photography. So I think she's like in her like mid-20s or so, or early 20s.
Hey kids, this is how you touch a photograph and travel back in time.
Right. Well, that's the thing, is that the whole thing is that like, because of what happened in the first game, she doesn't use her powers anymore.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But something really fucked up happens.
Yeah.
And she soon discovers that instead of having her abilities have morphed, so instead of having rewind powers, she now has the ability to move between alternate dimensions, or 2 alternate dimensions, where one significant thing has changed between the 2 of them. And so she's jumping. You basically spend the game jumping between the 2 of them in a similar way that you use like the time rewinding powers to solve puzzles and to like get answers for questions out of people and all that kind of stuff. So it's.
So you're telling me I can play a Life is Strange where I just go into one reality bashing people for answers, and then
Well,
use that information.
well, that's the thing where it's like you go into one reality where something happened, and it is again, it's the butterfly effect, right? Like you change one thing and it changes all kinds of other stuff. And so you jump to this.
Only in that reality, though, right?
Well, that's what, again, I'm not sure, right? There's some stuff going on where it's like, okay, because also again, like there's some spoiler stuff there in terms of like what changes, what doesn't, and also like how much you're aware of and who is who, and like also you having to keep things in your mind being like, okay, this was in this reality, it's the same person, but now they have different experiences because now it's like because she doesn't go back in time, it's like, oh, we're now 5 days out. So there's like the sort of, quantum central point of this decision changing has splintered out in so many different ways that this person is now almost a completely different person because of things that did or didn't happen. And like, I love the concept and I'm so interested in it. And the pacing is interesting, but it feels like slightly directionless in a way that I'm not. So like Max is like, I want to solve this thing. I want to figure out why this one thing happened, and I'm going to go into this alternate reality where it didn't happen, and see if I can find clues, as to like why this happened, and I haven't really. Again, I'm at the end of episode 2, so I was like, okay, I haven't really felt like I figured out anything, and obviously they've still got 3 episodes to go, and I'm super interested, but.
Everything you're describing right now, well, not everything,
Sure,
but it's making me think of, there was an Aussie kids show called Parallax about 20 years ago.
right.
Have you heard of this show?
I have heard of the show, yes. I haven't seen anything about it, but
like,
yes.
this is a very deep cut. But like, just same people, except for the central family, which most of the show's about. Who are these like guardians of the multiverse kind of level stuff, Each of these characters were morphed in a different reality by their environment.
Yeah.
So there might be like a forest world, and all of them are like a kid who grew up in the forest, but they're the same people.
Yeah, it's the same person, but it's just different. Yeah, exactly. And
I'm just thinking of that kind of premise with this.
There is kind of a thing where, so for example, I jumped into this other world, this alternate reality, and I discovered something about a character that Max was like, oh, that's weird. I didn't know that about that person. And you're like, interesting. And Max was like, oh, that's weird. I guess, did she have like a whole secret life that she wasn't telling me about? Like, how well did I know these? How well do I know my friends, But then it kind of dawned on me. I was like, who's to say that the people in this reality are like, how different could they be? And so I'm having this whole thing around like, are the clues actually relevant?
Like nature and nurture.
Yes, exactly.
Like how much of your environment
Yeah, exactly. And so it's like, and is like, so for example, one of the characters really likes a brand of, like sour gummies.
Yeah.
And I went into the alternate reality and picked up a thing off the ground near like a really important place as like a clue, but they were called something different, but they looked similar. And so now I'm going, oh, this might not just be a parallel reality where this one thing changed. This might actually be like, there might be a lot of small changes that I'm just not aware of. And I get the feeling this is going to get real fucking weird real quick, because people are being like, someone's like, oh, I saw another version of myself doing something really fucked up, and now suddenly I'm in trouble. And it's like, I would never do that. And you're like, okay, are they crazy? Is something going on? Am I doing this? Like, it is a mystery, right? So there's a lot of questions. I'll wrap this up because again, I'm still very early, and I do want to give a full review once I'm finished with it. But my main issue is that, in the same way that, like, Life is Strange 1 was like quite, it was quite light and funny and kind of jokey in ways. Like, obviously they had serious moments, especially towards the end. But like, there were a lot of like hella jokes, right? Like, and like, again, like there's a lot of like meme-y kind of jokey stuff that goes on during that game. That tone is still in this game. There is still, again, it's more modern day stuff now, but it's still very much like meme-y kind of humor-ish kind of like jokes and dad jokes and kind of stuff. But the situation is so different from the first game. Where the first game was kind of like a mystery. This is like serious.
So how you're describing it to me is if how I would imagine the tone of like an Alan Wake game, right?
Yeah.
Like if you took that kind of concept and all that, when
Sure.
Realistically, that idea isn't that dissimilar to like Alan Wake.
Sure,
2.
yeah, alternate realities and yeah, for sure. And like Alan Wake had like dark humor in it, but it wasn't like memey kind of jokey. Like I don't know.
Like this to me seems like it should be more like one of those like serious horror, like not horror, but like very
like a thriller. Like it should be a quite like again, it's a serious situation of you trying to solve this mystery. Because like people's lives are at risk, basically, right? Like, and I won't say any more than that, but like it's like there's a lot of stuff up for like this could go really badly for a lot of people, but it's kind of like I'll make time to do this weird like side quest thing, and like I know it's like ludo narrative dissonance of like what your character does versus what the story is, but because this game is so story centric, and the first game was at least like you could rewind time, like you could go back and change stuff. This game is like no, time is just progressing, and I don't know, like it feels like the tone feels kind of weird, and I'm hoping that it kind of maybe fixes up a little bit over the next. I don't know. It's something about it just doesn't rub me quite the wrong. It rubs me kind of the wrong way because like, you have stuff where it's like, there are two love interests. So there's like a girl and a guy that you can kind of get in romantic involvement with, and I know this partly because there's achievements related to that kind of stuff as well.
Yeah.
But it's like Max, you don't have time for this shit. Like that's kind of what I'm like. I'm like Max, like you can't rewind time
anymore.
anymore.
Save the world again.
Kind of, yeah, exactly. It's exactly. It was like in the other games, it was like, oh yeah, I'm kind of gonna have a good time. Again, that's why I liked True Colors so much because it was very much like, hey, this is just a story about, God, what's her fucking name? I can't remember.
Is it Alex?
Alex, yes. So this is a story about Alex and her brother and her family and kind of her moving into a new place and kind of getting used to it and also solving some mysteries and kind of figuring out kind of what's going on. But it wasn't like her powers didn't relate to like time travel or anything like that. It was all emotional stuff, right? So it was like you were present, you were learning stuff, you were making decisions. Whereas this is like you're jumping between realities, you're fucking with timelines. Like it just feels like there's a lack of urgency to it, which is kind of weird for a game like this. But we'll see. Again, I'm only episode 2, so I want to try and finish it this week, but also Alison was like, please do not play this in the evenings because I need to be able to sleep after this because it's way too intense, which is fair.
Yeah.
So I'm going to try and get some more of that done for next week. I
want to go back for a second.
Yes.
So the writing closer to Life is Strange 1 or is it closer to like True Colors? Like is this like nailing more of the mature audience kind of writing? Or
I mean, a little bit. I think it's more an environment thing than anything else because I think the characters are around the same age as Alex was in True Colors, right? But True Colors was you were living in a town that you'd moved to, and yeah, it was a kind of kitschy kind of Colorado town, and there were some weird characters and kind of there was a lot of humor in there, right? This is like you're at a university, so it has a lot of the similar vibes to the first game, and again you're playing as Max as well. Even if you weren't playing as Max, there's a lot of similar stuff from the first game, and in fact, the characters are kind of a little more juvenile than I was kind of expecting for characters their age. And again, like I don't know, it definitely feels more like Life is Strange 1 than anything else. And like I kind of dig that because I really enjoyed that first game, but it definitely feels a little bit off.
Yeah, I know there's moments in 1 where I'm just like you can tell there is adults writing for teenage characters.
Yes, and this kind of feels a little bit like that in some places where I was like, why is this happening? I don't know. Again, still early on. Maybe it like kind of evens out a bit and kind of gets more serious as the series goes on. But I'm liking it, but I'm not loving it yet. But I also I want to, these games all come together with the mystery and the story, and once it all ties together, and you kind of see all the strings and everything, and you're like, ah. So we'll see. Yeah. But it just hasn't quite grabbed me yet so much that I have to play it right this second.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was a long-winded way of saying I haven't finished it yet. So,
I'm interested, but I'm like,
yeah. I mean,
I feel like I'm going to be more interested in the concept than the
execution. Sure, I think that's kind of where I'm sitting at too. But we'll see if they stick the landing. And then also played a bit more Kinetsugami. I'm still kind of working my way through the New Game Plus mode, but I'm doing it very slowly because I'm a little bit kind of burnt out of it. Like it was really, really good, but I didn't really feel like I needed to play through it yet again.
I started it.
Mm-hmm.
I've done like 5 missions completely and probably like 3 more missions after that. it's really solid as a new IP.
It is, right? Yeah, I'm really impressed.
Like I think it's a really good get for Game Pass. I'm not too keen on the like New Game Plus and all that. Like I feel like it's going to get to a point where it's stale, but I'm enjoying the early days.
Yeah, that's kind of where I got to. I like that I've kind of talked about this before, but they change enough up in each kind of every few levels. They'll kind of throw a new concept at you. So like one of them is like, oh, you're on a boat this time, so like you can't move your guys around that much. You kind of have to defend a central spot. Or it's like, oh, you know, the priestess can't move anymore for this level, so you need to defend her over an endless night. Or you know, like, or this one you've got no villagers, so you got to sort this shit out on your own. Like they throw different stuff at you quite often, which is kind of fun. And keeps it interesting. But I was kind of done with it by the time I got to the end, and then I had to do cleanup for all the optional objectives, and now doing New Game Plus. I'm kind of like, I don't know if I'll get back to it before the end of the year, but we'll see. It'll probably be on my list though. I really enjoy it. I fucking dreamed about that game because like the visual style and the way it plays is just so unique to anything I've ever played before.
It's very aesthetically inviting, and like you think at the start the mechanics are they're gonna just throw so. Like, it's very much a game that you look at a surface level and you go, like, this is going to be very overwhelming very quickly.
Yeah, I was very worried about that.
They do such a good job of, like, all right, we're going to drip feed you the mechanics as we go along.
Yeah, we're going to give you one class to start with, and that's it. And we're going to keep the combos basic, and your upgrades minimal. Yeah. It's so clever in how they do it.
Yeah. Kind of made me realize, too, like, when was the last time? It's not it's partly a hack and slash.
Sure, yeah.
But like, when was the last time I actually played a hack and slash other than? Oh, I'm trying to think of the name. What's the time travel one? The one that I really liked the ending.
Yeah, sorry. I'm thinking of it was the sequel to Stories, right? Story of Destinies.
Yeah.
Oh god, why am I blanking on that game? I loved it as well. Yes, I know the one you're talking about.
But I was like, how have I not, like, do people just not make hack and slashes anymore?
Not really. I mean, you get the old. I mean, to be fair, like Redacted is kind of that, right? Like that's kind of the logical progression from that in terms of like Hades in that direction.
Stevie, Lords of the Fallen with the level we were at.
Lords of the Fallen, yes, yeah, hack and slash. Yeah, it's kind of true.
I miss like the God of War kind of hack and slash though.
Yeah, I mean, like Devil May Cry 5 was apparently very, very good. But you just kind of don't get those kinds of games that often anymore. The sort of spectacle fighters, they also tend to be quite difficult. Like they tend to like err on the side of like very combo heavy, quite difficult kind of games. But
Funny.
Omen Sight was the game, right? Omen Sight.
That's it. If you haven't played Omen Sight, highly recommend it.
Play both of them actually. Play Stories first and then play Omen Sight. Yeah, they're both great games.
Yeah, that's pretty much all I've been playing though.
Great.
Been pretty quiet.
Yeah, I've got like I did technically start. Was it Trials of Mana? I think it was.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that game was a full remake. I thought it was just kind of going to be like a top-down like remaster of the old SNES game. No, they rebuilt it in the engine they used for like the other Mana games. So, fucking color me surprised. I did not expect that to go into it, but that's probably going to be my PC kind of just casual game because you can kind of play it on easy and just kind of run through it. That's my nostalgia game.
Yeah.
I played like an hour of it. And again, nothing yet. Quite a bit then. Let's get into our leaderboard. So, who's on the leaderboard this week? In third place, we have a Grey Shark with 6,360. In second, we have Mikhail KV with 70,000 and 7,070. 7,070, sorry. And Thrash Forever bringing up a big score again with 17,625. So I saw the scores have come down a little bit over the last couple of weeks, but Thrash is still he's still thrashing them out there, as it were. So good job, everyone. And if you'd like to join the leaderboards, let us know. They're on TA. We can get you on there, especially if you're a big scorer and you want to get your kudos. Completions. Cameron, you want to read through those?
Yep. So we had Bottle of Sharks with Spirit of the North, which I believe is leaving Game Pass over the weekend.
Tomorrow,
yep. Rapture, Shadow, Gambit, The Cursed Crew. Alpha D Pills here did Dead Space for the 360. Bob Saw did the RoboQuest update And Shane did Beyond Blue.
Beyond Blue looks really good, actually. I picked it up based on his recommendation. Looks like a real
What
kind of
is Beyond-
chill diving kind of game where you scan like fish and stuff and just kind of have like a nice time.
So it's Beyond Blue is the name of a mental health organization in Australia,
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, I guess it's not the most.
like well-being and all that. So I was just like completely flew under my radar.
Yeah. It's on sale. It's on sale.
What's that other one that was on Game Pass? Is it Abzu?
Abzu was the other kind of that was the very stylized journey style version of that kind of game. And then kind of Under the Waves was the other one that I played, which was similar kind of thing, but they had more of a story to it. Yeah, and I guess that's kind of going to bring us towards the end of the show. We're on Discord. Come say hi, hang out. Kara, I need you to make a Discord thing in the overlay, just so I don't have to read out the URL, whatever, and put it on Nightbot or whatever we do.
But can't we just do a text box and then put that in?
I could do actually. That's a fair point. I could just do that. It look ugly as fuck, but I could do that.
Hey, we could make Cameron do work,
I could just do the work and just designer me. That's how it'll go. Otherwise, hit us up on Discord. I always put the show out on YouTube if you happen to be an audio only listener. So if you want to catch the videos, the VODs are also on Twitch for a few days. But you get to see the lovely thumbnail that Char makes for me every week. So big thank you to them. Have you got anything to shill, Cameron?
Not really. Let's just get to Christmas already.
Yeah. I should say shows towards the end of the year are probably going to get a bit spotty in terms of like who's available and when we can do them. I'm heading away on leave in a couple of weeks. So next week might be my last episode. Depends on how things shake out. We'll see how it goes. But we'll keep you guys up to date with how episodes are going. We will be taking a break over the holidays for a bit and come back sometime after the new year, probably late January, probably. We'll see how that goes.
Late January.
Well, I don't know. I mean, people want some time off and stuff. Podcast is only good if people actually want to be here, right? We can't just be you and I talking every fucking week. People will get sick of it.
Yeah, and I need some time to play games, you know.
Oh, and yes, and Shane has put the Discord link into the chat. Thank you very much, Shane.
Thank you, Shane.
All right. I guess I'm Neomaster on everything True Achievements, Xbox, and Discord if you need to get a hold of me. That's been episode 150. We will catch you guys next week. See you later.
Bye.